before we like get started right away with like the episode, I wanna hit you with a question that I was thinking about the other day, and I wanted to ask you, what if you could only have 2 apps on your phone? You know, just out of all the stock apps, app store apps, anything, what 2 apps would you have? And I'm sorry, I didn't prep him for that. Like this, it's like out of the blue.
Documents is number 1. First off, I'm a iPhone user. I'm on iOS, and Documents is a lifesaver in terms of it's a file management tool. It's kind of like Files in iOS, but it handles audio and video, and I basically use it for just listening back to my drafts. And,
got you.
Yeah, it's very good for that, and it's very easy document management. What about you?
What's the other app? You just need one.
Yeah,
Look at this guy.
I guess just Instagram or so. Because in terms of using it, in terms of use, like I by far use that the most. Like I'm lumping all the social media apps into one.
Got you. Yeah. For me, it's the Notes app, the iOS Notes app. It's like the one app where I get everything. My entire life is like organized into that app. Like it's all like funneled down into this one app. Everything I'm thinking, or just anything, is just in that app. So if it has to be one app, then Notes app. If it's 2 apps, let me see. I don't know, Headspace or something.
Oh, my password manager app.
There we go. 3 apps.
Yeah.
Anyways, welcome to this week's episode. Do you want to?
Yeah. Welcome to Beyond Beats. I'm Metic, and DYVN's here, and welcome to episode 8.
Yes.
Wow, we're at episode 8. That's 8 weeks.
Yeah, consistently, man. And even like there was one lost episode which we had to re-record. So technically,
that's 9 like episodes. 8.5.
Yes.
That's 8.5.
Speaking of phones, something I did this week was cleaning up like all the nasty little red numbers. And I gotta say, I'm a person who's not really annoyed by those numbers, that notification numbers. So I don't know if I think I showed you once. I had 2,000 unread emails. I was so hoping for you to
you're one of them.
Out your tea or whatever you're drinking.
No, I used to do that, but I have to put it all to 0. Like I'm one of them.
Yeah, I mean, dude, and I can totally.
It's not like I read everything. I literally just select all the unreads, mark it as read, and I just deal with it later.
I just read the ones that are important, and the rest is just like, I don't even like. Yeah, but anyways, I did that yesterday. I have 1 unread email right now, which I still have to reply to, and that's read as well. I have currently 9 messages in iMessage, which is fine, I think. And what got me to doing that? I had already after half a day.
Okay.
I had, dude, did you know that on Safari you can only have 500 tabs open? After that, it's like, nope, you got to close one.
Oh my
There's
God.
a limit.
I used to be
PSA here on Beyond Beats.
I really recommend, if you're on Chrome, I used to be one of those tab hoarders. But if you're on Chrome, use the extension called OneTab. So essentially, it saves all your tabs, all your open tabs into like a one-tab tab.
Yeah.
So it takes all those tabs out of your MacBook memory. It doesn't hoard your memory, because those things are very memory intensive.
I was talking about my phone, actually, man. I had 500
oh my
open
God.
tabs on my
Right.
iPhone.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's actually on Safari, there's this new feature called tab groups, which is essentially the same thing, which I haven't gotten to using, obviously. But yeah, 500 open tabs. I noticed I had to like clean my life up a little bit, which was kind of what I did this week. How was your week? What did you do What did you do this week?
Nothing too crazy. I just did a beat making session with a couple buddies last week.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That looked
that was pretty fun. Just getting into my buddy's studio in Ridgewood in Brooklyn, and it's really well. So I went into that room and it was like really well treated in terms acoustically. And then I sat down. My buddy 1010 put on an album, and it was like this Japanese city pop album. And then I sat down in the sweet spot and I listened. It was my first time really getting to play whatever the hell I want in a really, really nice room.
Nice.
And I sat down and the stereo, I've never heard a stereo image like so crisp and clear. Right. It was as if like there's like a phantom. I Googled this after the fact, and it turns out it is a thing. Like, because I feel like I was hearing sounds like in front of me when the speakers are on the side. Yeah. So like, and I could like kind of picture, you know, the band playing in front of me, like the stereo image and all that stuff. So it's called the Phantom Center. So that's when you know, like, you have a pretty good setup. I mean, I always kind of knew the importance of like stereo imaging and all that stuff, but like, really hearing it in a much nicer, professionally set up room is you know, it really, it made me go home and set up the studio. Like I stayed up till really late last night, just like pulling my desk away from the wall, and I'm pulling the speakers away from the wall and further apart, and it made a big difference in terms of stereo imaging. And yeah, everything. I still don't. It's still not like perfectly treated like, you know, the studio, but it's much better than before. So just baby steps.
Right.
Baby steps, yeah.
Cool. Dude, your chair is squeaking.
Oh, I know, man.
In case you guys are wondering who else we got, like we've actually got another visitor again today. I don't know if you can see.
Uh-oh. Who that?
Hey! Iggy's back. We've been
my favorite Jack Russell.
We've been in Malmö all day today, so we did like a big city trip thing today, and poor guy had to walk 8 kilometers today, which is I think fine. Like Jack Russell,
for him, yeah,
lots of workout, but he's like 6 years old now, so like he's not the Jack Russell that he used to be. So he's getting a little bit like,
he's still got plenty left in the tank.
Chilling hard.
How's your past few days?
Cool, man. It's been really cool. Like I said, it just felt like one of those weeks where I just restructured some things, reorganized some things, and it was just much needed, like to just really, I don't know, find some good focus and all of that. And so one of the things I started doing differently this week was that I kind of managed my tasks. Like I always plan out my week on Sundays so that I know on Monday how to approach my week and all of that. But what I never did before was sort of look at all the things I want to achieve that week and then see how manageable that is actually, like how much time I actually have throughout the week. So how many things can I actually pack into my week? It's not that like that I made an insane amount of goals or whatever, but it was just like my wife and I went over our schedules, and we kind of put everything, we call it focus, like one session, we call it one focus. And I just sort of looked up how many music sessions do I need to pack into my week to get everything done that I want to get done. And every like session we call one focus. So I just, and every focus time is like 1.5 hours to 2 hours.
I see.
And so we just basically what we did, I noticed I need like 6 sessions of music to get everything done that I want to get done.
Are you referring to like finishing this track, finishing that track, and then
starting this new track?
Okay.
Yeah, all of that basically.
That's so structured, man.
Yeah, and I always either overstructure or understructure, but I never nailed it until this week, honestly, which is why I wanted to mention it on the pod. I kind of found something that feels well structured because it makes everything that I want to achieve manageable, but it's not like I'm sort of 7 to 8 workout 8 to 9, breakfast and whatever, 9 to 10 music. Oh, and then I'm sitting here at 9 a.m. Damn it, I'm not inspired yet. You know, like I'm not overstructuring it too much, but I just see that I get everything done throughout the day. And we're just like, do you want to take your time now? Yeah, sure. And then we just like get started. Like, because my wife and I, you know, we have a kid, so we have to like, she's not going to like preschool or something yet. She's 2 years old. So we're basically taking turns of who's taking care of her, who's playing with her, and the other person gets to work in that time. And yeah, one of the things I did was just writing down, you know, I need this and this much time for the podcast, this and this much time for music, for social media and all of that. And basically now I know if I get the things done that I want to get done, or now I know how much I can get done realistically.
That's really cool. Like I think I've tried, you know, setting goals for the day, setting goals for the week or whatever. But sometimes I feel like I'm so much more impulsive as a person. Like sometimes I get dragged into, maybe my buddy introduces me to this track and then I fall in love with it and I start like practicing and learning it, and then okay, maybe I should make a cover of this, or maybe I should make a video out of this, and then like I get dragged into like all these different directions, kind of inspiration, like my inspiration kind of takes me into all these different directions. And sometimes I just look back at the goals and I'm like, oh fuck, I didn't I guess didn't do that. right But I did something else.
No, but that's cool. You know, and that's why I'm not like planning ahead what kind of tunes I want to make that week, which is again like the thing I used to do. Like I was sort of like try to super organize everything, make 3 songs this week, 1 DYVN song, 1 under my alias, you know, and then just like try to really like force myself to work, which doesn't work, you know. For me it doesn't. Like I need to like feel something, kind of like you said, kind of follow my impulses at least to a certain extent, and sort of. But what I can say is that if I want to make so and so many tunes this year, then I want to make so and so many tunes this month and this week. So it means I have to like finish up 2 to 3 tracks a week, realistically, which is a lot. But
that's impressive. That's a good pace.
But it's just like you know. But this also got me to going through my hard disk and finding some old projects that I really liked, and I was like, time to finish up that track. Boom, got 1 track done. You know, and it's like you can cheat a little bit, or ask people to send you some chords or something.
Yeah, I think sometimes what's hard for me is sometimes opening up those old projects. That's why whenever I start something new, I try to get as much done as I can in that one session. I try to capture as much as I can, because when you reopen an old project, sometimes you hit a wall in terms of, maybe I remember why I stopped doing that session in the first place, and then you're like running into the same wall and you're like thinking about how to break out of it. And
totally.
Yeah, sometimes and then that kind of goes back into the goal setting thing, you know. Like sometimes I would say like, finish this song you started last week, and I couldn't, you know. Sometimes I just run into that same wall and I'm like, man,
but I've gotten to a point where I'm pretty extreme with that. I just delete the file then. I don't want to burn myself with that. You know, I'm just like, couldn't finish it.
You just delete it?
Gone. Yeah, just bye-bye. If I know it's like, it's just, I'm pretty, I don't know. I'll make another track, you know. I just found this tune that I must have, because it sounds like old me, you know. And I remember actually that was a track I made in Berlin, which is, you know, at least 2 years ago almost. So, but there was a sample in it which I hated, so I deleted that. But there was like this chord progression and this bass line and some parts of the percussions that I really liked. I made like new drums for it, some, you know, whatever else was lacking. and I think I'm gonna get someone to play some trumpet or something over. Christopher, if you're watching, you'll have it in your inbox this week. So I just, sometimes there's some cool elements that you can reuse where the track itself might be kind of facing a brick wall, but you can still take some elements out of it that you still feel,
I think I think that's kind of like reinvigorating, because I think part of what goal setting is like, sometimes I shouldn't be so like burdened with the goals that I don't hit, so that because I still want to set, pick up this thing as a regular habit, but like sometimes I just stop doing it because it's like, it kind of depresses me that I haven't hit all the goals. But I think with, like with you, it's very good to be strategic about it and maybe set better goals.
Or just try different approaches. That's what I do.
Different
I'm
approaches.
Always like,
exactly.
This is like and I'm probably going to come up on the pod next week and be like, nah, this didn't work. Sometimes what works this week doesn't work next week. So don't be afraid to like try out. This is what I can just, say to anyone out there. Don't be afraid to like switch up your approach, and, don't feel like a failure ever about it, because whatever worked last week and got you to do this one thing, that got you to do this one thing, and for next week, you might like try a different strategy or something. And that's fine.
I don't know. Like, I feel like with me, sometimes it varies a bit, because sometimes I get into very deep into making songs, finishing songs. And sometimes I get into a thing where like what I'm doing now, like I'm playing guitar a little more, and I'm getting inspired on the guitar more, and I just want to share the things that I'm getting inspired by, so I make more videos.
Yeah, I saw
just
that, man.
On social, on TikTok.
I love those. Keep making them.
Well, it's just like, because for me, those are the fastest ways to kind of get my ideas out. Post a video here, post a video there, and if I'm feeling that, I might as well share something out of it, and it's like reels, TikToks, and stuff. Like, I feel like it's a good way to kind of tickle the algorithm a little bit, but and also not doing it for the algorithm, but also I'm doing it from a place where I'm playing guitar a little more. So I feel like my content's kind of like a reflection of what I'm feeling. That particular, I don't really plan my content. Like, I know some people who are very regular about posting and stuff. They have a regimen where they, on the weekends, they film the whole day and then they post throughout the week, which is probably the way to go. But like, I'm much more like impulsive, and
with content, I'm the same.
Yeah.
It has to be a reflection of me, like.
Yeah,
me.
Exactly. So if you don't hear from me, I'm either, if you don't hear from me, if I don't post in a while, like, I'm either just like knee deep in trying to finish songs, or I'm just very uninspired.
Speaking of setting goals, I want to know more about like how people set their goals. So if you're watching this on YouTube, by the way, for audio listeners, we have a YouTube channel where you can see those handsome faces of ours on, live in color. And if you're on YouTube, just leave a comment on how do you approach your yearly goal setting, because that's something I wanted to talk to you about on this episode. How do you like? Maybe I can share mine real quick, and you got like a second to think about it. What I've been doing pretty much since I started like releasing music as DYVN is that anytime November comes around, and that's just something I think my brain is wired that way, and at this point I'm starting to think about next year. Mm-hmm. And I set goals. I start to like write down goals that I want to hit next year, and you know how goals are, like they're supposed to be measurable in some way, so it's oftentimes some kind of number goals, or some like, yeah, they're always like either make this and this many streams, or which always feels a bit soulless, but that's what it is. Or it's like make a collab with 3 artists bigger than you are right now, or those kinds of goals. Like release last year, I had the goal of releasing like at least 5 vocal tracks, stuff like that. Just like focus more on these kinds of things, type of goals. This year on my list, I've got play at least 3 live shows, because I feel like I really want to get in, like back on stage.
Dude, DYVN live show.
Yeah,
I like that.
For those who don't know, I'm a live musician pretty much. Like that's hardwired into me, and I haven't played live in 4 or 5 years, so I really want to get back out there. But that's for another episode.
You're a bassist, right? You in your old band, yeah.
I used to play bass. Or I still play bass. It's right there, but not on stage. I also had a short phase of playing guitar on stage. I even way back in the days I used to sing in a band. So there's that. But yeah, so I still don't know what I want to do, but that's for another episode to figure that out.
Hey, that gotta keep tuning in for that.
Yep. But yeah, that's how I sort of approach my like setting my goals for the next year. And then I'm just like, whenever something cool comes to my mind, or whenever I talk to people and I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea, or I just write it down in the notes app, like I said in the beginning of the show. How do you do that? What a transition.
Yeah, I don't really have well, first off, I like that that playing live thing. I really look forward to that. But yeah, I think I don't really have a lot of I'm not a very big very big into this. Like I have like in my mind, I have a few goals going into each year, and like for example, this year, putting out Pastel Lovers with Lamb Chop and printing it on vinyl, it's my first ever physical release on first ever vinyl release that's not a compilation, and that was like a pretty big milestone. And I think going into this year, I also wanted to get deeper into, the playlisting and labels, releasing with labels and all that stuff. And I'm kind of at a point where now when setting goals for next year, I don't really know what to. I don't want to do the same thing again. So right now I'm kind of in a place where I'm trying to see what else what I can shift my focus to, like, because right now I'm not super focused on monthly listeners right now. I think right now I'm trying to develop a more upbeat sound.
Yeah.
And a lot of my works in progress are actually on that line. And so one of my goals is something that you have been doing this year, actually, is collaborating with artists a little more. And so yeah, I've just been trying to explore that, and reaching out to artists and see what I can develop with them. But that's a whole process in and of itself that I'm getting to learn as well right now. And but yeah, I think that's another topic that I would love to unpack with you in a future episode, because it's fun and it's rewarding as well. So yeah, I think collaborating with more artists, and I think organizing some live shows. I've been going to a lot of live shows in the New York area, and I'd love to put on a show here and there, just like gather a lineup, curate a lineup, and just try to see if I could do it.
Right? No, that's cool, man.
Yeah,
that's kind of how my idea with my label started, man. I was just like, I want to see if I can put out other people's music too.
Yeah,
and now it's just it just went
that's
way better than I thought, which is
big
amazing.
Milestone. Yeah. I
totally get that, and you can still
starting a
develop
label
something.
too. Yes. Starting a label, I still don't really know. I think, starting a label, I would love to talk to you more about that as well. Like just to it's really awesome seeing how you and Julia have grown Misa, and I would love to talk more with you about that as well.
Sure.
And I don't know, I want to try to build an email list for next year.
Oh.
I've been building
the good old 2015 marketing strategy, but
exactly.
it's still around, man. That's like the crazy thing. And I was always like, nah, I'll do that. Like, that's probably just a thing people do now, and like that's like the one thing that's still there.
Yeah, it's the one thing that's always going to be there.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think I don't really know how to do it in a way that's not annoying, but at the same time, if your mission is to try not to be annoying, then you're not meant to make email lists. So I think I'm still grappling between.
I think it's like if you've got cool things to say, it's kind of like a podcast, right? Like, and I think like we're still finding our voice, sort of, but I think it's. I think 8 episodes in, we still have stuff to talk about. We just like teased at least 5 episodes in the last 5 minutes. Yeah. So, and it's kind of like if you got stuff to say, I would read those. I would not just right away delete them. I feel like this episode is so like coming full circle in so many places. With the notes app and the email lists and all of that.
It's a year in review and also look ahead to next year, all in 30 minutes.
Yes.
But I mean, those are kind of like loosely my goals for next year. But I in terms of how strictly I'm gonna be following them, I hope so.
We'll see next year. That's that's how I started my second attempt at podcasting. Was I just recorded myself, sort of like holding myself accountable to my goals, sort of like reading out my goals list. If you look for DYVN coffee time with DYVN, there's like 3 episodes or something of that, and one of them is me setting goals for 2019, 20 or 21, I don't know, but it's probably pretty cringe, but
hey,
that's the nature of the
we're
beast.
there for that.
Yeah. But there you go. We can go back to this episode now in a year and revisit that. Yeah,
I think it's cool to talk about that with you, because I think you're much more concrete about setting goals and stuff, and it's inspiring to me as someone who's quite loose about it, and maybe that's why I haven't made as much progress as I'd like. Maybe I need to do more goals, set more goals for myself, and everybody says that, and and I think talking to you more about it is it's inspiring.
I think there's like a thin line to walk between, like I said, those soulless goals that are purely based on numbers and just feel like I'm just copy pasting my last year's goal and just bump up the number a little bit so that I make sure I'm growing.
Right.
Which also, like, if hopefully just happens organically in some way. But so there's that, but there's also, on the other hand, there's setting goals that sort of, like you said, with putting up a show, or like I said, starting to play shows again, goals that kind of push you towards your passions, which can be probably like measured in numbers. Like, for example, if I could give you advice there, I would say start, instead of saying build an email list, start putting out newsletters and write, I don't know, 10 newsletters. That's not even one month. You can do that.
I see what you mean.
Make it doable, but also so that it doesn't feel like overwhelming, but make it in a way that still feels like something you've achieved something. And that's something only like what would you be proud of if you would have done that at the end of the year? And that's how I set my goals.
And I really like what you said, because it makes it quantifiable.
Exactly. That's super important. But don't like put
measurable
numbers that you can never like achieve.
Just
make it easy, but not too easy, so that you're still proud.
Yeah. That's
gonna be a
point.
I feel that.
Yeah,
you're gonna make
point.
a reel out of this. And also, I feel like this kind of wraps up the episode, doesn't it?
Yeah, I hear you. Just a short, quick one today, and got an exciting guest for next week.
Oh yeah, she's pretty cool.
She is.
That's very all cool. I'm gonna say. We're back. What has happened is that we just hit pause. We just finished the episode, and then we talked a little bit after the episode. What happened was that I apparently said some things that were smart, considered smart, and Metic was like, that's what I wanted to hear in the episode. And I was like, oh yeah, let's do another one in 2 weeks then about it. And he was like, yeah. But like, we're back.
Yeah. So basically, I think what gave me that thought was when you were talking about how to, because you're a person that sets that does this a lot, like goal setting, and you actually that's a part of your process, and you hit a lot of those goals. But as someone who doesn't do it as much, sometimes I can get bogged down with not hitting my goals, and that's why I get discouraged from doing it more. But I think what started it all was me asking you, like, well, what happens if you don't hit your goals? Like, are there a lot of goals that you don't hit, and what do you do about them? And I think it's good for you to what you told me was very therapeutic, I think.
So I'm going to tell everyone. Yeah, what do I do? I'm going to sit in a corner and cry. No, exactly. I think I mentioned Headspace is one of the apps that I would keep, on my phone in the very beginning of the pod. And what I would do is just acknowledge that I'm human and sort of just be kind to myself, as cliche as that sounds. But the goals that I set, I set them for myself, not for, and the reason why I set them for myself is because I want to sort of picture an image of where I could stand at the end of the year, which means... And then it just makes it easier for me to walk that path of going there. And I think one of the things I mentioned, for example, to you was one goal I wrote down for this year was vocal track with 50K plus plays. And obviously, I don't know how to make a vocal track that gets more plays than the vocal tracks that I already made, because I think they're already pretty good. And also I don't set that goal because I want to have a lot of plays because it makes me feel so good to have all those plays. No, I want to have a vocal track with 50K plays because I want to hold myself accountable to make quality music, and in that keep the market in mind, make music that people actually want to hear, which, when you think about it, should automatically at some point lead to the song gaining traction and being put on a playlist. Or I actually hit a track this year that hit 250,000 plays, like a vocal track, through radio. So, and I don't know how that happened, to be honest, but it was just a really good track. So what I'm trying to say with that is I don't make those goals so that I would feel good about hitting certain numbers or something. It's more about sort of measuring quality, which I know sounds terrible, and I'm not saying that songs with more plays are better or something, obviously not. What I'm saying is make them fit a certain market and make them in a way that there's people who actually want to listen to them. But that said, kind of like I just hopefully described, I personally don't know how to make a song that hits 50,000 plays. So if I wouldn't have hit that goal at the end of the year, I would have been fine. It's just something that I pictured could help me improve my process, my day-to-day process, and that I just wrote down. I'm not able to say it in the same way that I said it to you.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Maybe I could wrap this up. Thanks for sharing your experience with goal setting, and I think it really enlightened me as to the kind of art, the subtle art of goal setting, if you will, because I think the more you do it, the more analytical and quantifiable you can make your goals, and the easier it is to actually hit the goals. And I think, you know, you just outlined a way that makes it very achievable, but yet, you know, as you said, it doesn't compromise you know, your artistic values. It's just a way that makes it a little more measurable to you. And I think as someone who doesn't do this enough, that's something I learned a lot from you know, you sharing your experience. And yeah, thank you for that. And
sure.
I look forward to doing a little more.
And I think our off-air conversation was, to be fair, a whole lot better than whatever came out in this very moment. So I hope any of what I just said made sense. And yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And this concludes the appendix of Beyond Beats episode 8.